Good evening. God bless you. This is Father Joseph Sbdn. I just came in. I do apologize. Um, if we're being, let me just make sure I have the audio right on this. I don't. Okay. Good evening. This is Father Joseph Sbdn. I do apologize for coming in late. Unfortunately, one of my son's car's engines blew, and I occasionally have to give him a ride, and it showed up a little bit. I ended up getting here a little bit later than I would have liked. But in any case, we're here to review the history of the Russian Church abroad and the GOC of Greece. A short history by Sbdn Nectarios Harrison of the ROCA and the Moscow Patriarchate. I have a lot to say. I found it to be an engaging read. For me, it was also a bit of a short read, but that is largely because of the fact that of the structure of the book. So to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, it is an overview of the history of the church abroad. And hold on, I'm trying to figure this one out because I feel like I'm doing this wrong. Okay, now I've just covered Jesus. Okay, hold on. So basically, the book is about basically covering the history of the church abroad and the true Orthodox of Greece between the periods of it covers between the periods of the 1920s to 2007. It's a decent overview. Give me just a moment here. I just want to do one thing. Let me see here. Just quickly sending. Okay. So the book is okay. This is frozen. I'm trying to get to the right screen and make sure I'm doing the right thing. So, the book is by no means exhaustive, nor is it meant to be. The big advantage that it does have is that everything's backwards on these cameras. The big advantage that it does have is that, oh boy, this says, please, no spoiler alerts, Father. My copy will be here Saturday. I feel like I kind of almost had presentations with kind of a couple of spoiler alerts, so I'm going to have to make those go away. But it deals kind of directly with the history in the Synod in Manhattan, as well as the church in Astoria with Bishop Petros of Astoria. So a lot of it in there is it's actually really good. It's kind of a different take. It is not what I'd call like a very, very heavy info take, but it almost feels like New York is a character in the story. Like you can, if you're from New York, especially, or from a large city, you can almost feel whether it's Bishop Petros or it's one of the bishops of the Synod taking the subway to go from one church to the other. It's kind of in that sense, you feel kind of personally invested in the lives of what's happening with these Holy Fathers. So it is, in that sense, I've never read a book like it. It is very short. Not very short. It's about 100. I'll tell you. It's 111 pages. It has some unique features to it. And it's got a lot of interesting historical pictures, some of which I'm familiar with, some of which I'm not. But I've seen most of these. But it's a lot of good stuff that if you're new, especially to true Orthodoxy, you probably have never seen before. It includes a very useful chronology. It also includes the life of Saint Glyceria of Romania. For those who don't know, Saint Glyceria was actually glorified by the Russian Church abroad, as well as her sister churches. At the time, the Synod and Resistance, the True Orthodox Church of Romania, and True Orthodox Church of Bulgaria, because he was a Romanian saint. And so basically, this event took place while they were all in communion. And St. Glyceria is still, of course, celebrated in the ROCA, even in the MP, although not obviously by the Moscow Patriarchate. It completely upends, I think, for a lot of people, and I think for the intended audience, it's going to be a lot of information. that's going to be very, very new. But for somebody who is new, it's presentable in a pretty good form. If you're definitely new to it, it will get a little bit. It might be surprising if you're not familiar with the information and the history behind this. It's worth it simply because it'll come off very surprising to you. For if you're like one of those people who bought like the struggle against ecumenism and bought like a bunch of the histories, read all of Vladimir Moss's histories, mostly you're going to learn some local trivia. This is not meant for the person who's researching every single jot and tittle about true orthodoxy. It's just not. It's for the regular reader. It's for people who came into ROCOR after the 2007 union and have no idea about this history at all. And in that sense, in terms of its target audience, it is a very well-written book. I am very proud of it. I'm not proud of it. I mean, I didn't write it, but very proud of the work he did. Very nice. I have to give a lot of respect to Sbdn Nectarios. It does have an intro by Metropolitan Demetrius of the GOC. It's not a long intro. It's very nice. And so it's got a lot of interesting, it's got a lot of interesting stuff. It's a worthy addition to your collection if you haven't bought it and you're not familiar with the history of the True Orthodox Church. It does have some, as I mentioned, it's overall I thought it was well presented. I highly recommend it especially if you're new to True Orthodoxy. Get this book. It's from Orthodox Traditionalist Publications, which I assume is Sbdn Nectarios' website. Let me see if I'll put a link in. Okay. All right, that goes right to Amazon. So I'll just put the link to Orthodox Traditionalist. Hold on, let me see if it pops up there. I assume the pop-up window will pop up there. It should. Yeah, it does. Okay, so if you want to purchase the book, you absolutely can just go right to orthodoxtraditionalist.com, and a pop-up window will show up even before you hit the book section, which will allow you to just go right to Amazon and purchase the book. So that's it's without giving away any spoilers. As a general overview, I would say that it's definitely worthwhile picking up. Anyway, this is if you have any questions about the book that you want to ask if I haven't covered them, etc. I did read it. It's for me it was a very short read. Feel free. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I realize we've only been talking for about 8 minutes. I was really late. I think I had a good reason. I apologize. But again, anything that can be done in these days to help support the channel, whether it's on NFTU, whether it's through super chats, or I would suggest on NFTU, there's different ways that you can support the channel, whether it be with crypto, whether it be with GabPay or PayPal. We really could use it. This has been a pretty stressful past couple of weeks. We're hoping to get out of the woods. We're not there yet, but we're going to keep trying. And it's just a matter of, pushing forward. And so that's what we're doing. As I mentioned, my goal, God willing, my ultimate goal is that by the end of the year, we're able to do this full time. I believe it's possible, but right now it's really, really painful. So any support that you can give, we really appreciate it. Greg888 asked, does he mention the Matthewites? Yes. He does mention them in a couple of sections, which I'm not going to get too much into detail on. But he does mention, he doesn't go into great detail with the Matthewites. He talks about the disagreement, and he talks about what happened in 1974. But he doesn't get into all the weeds on it. It's not an exhaustive treatment. As I mentioned, this book is 111 pages. It mostly deals in terms of the correspondence between the ROCOR hierarchy as well as Metropolitan Petros of Astoria, as well as some of his history. And then it does deal with, of course, the church in Greece, etc. But it really feels much more localized towards New York, like what was happening in New York at the time. it's a kind of a very different take on it, and it's appreciated. But so it doesn't go into all. It does have a. I wonder if they're in the glossary though. I think they probably are. It does have a glossary. It has a glossary and an index. Let me just check to see. Okay, there's a lot of it covers some abbreviations like TOC. Oh, that it does have in the glossary. It does mention Matthewites. So yes, this is actually pretty cool. Let me see here. So yeah, that does cover that. So yeah, with the glossary, and it has the timeline, which is extremely useful. There's a lot that is worth recommending about the book, even due to its size. So yeah, unless you're like, if you know a lot about the subject matter, you may learn very little new. You'll probably see some pictures you never saw and may pick up details you never heard, which in my case was true. Even though I pretty much know this stuff like the back of my hand, even I found details. I had no idea. I'm so sorry, Andrew. I'm going to give one spoiler. One spoiler. I had no idea that Metropolitan Petros was actually elected among a group of priests to be submitted as a candidate for the episcopacy in St. Nicholas Church in New York City, which was destroyed on 9/11. I had no idea that happened. And so I was like, whoa, that happened. So when I find a piece of trivia I don't know, I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty good. He did the research. It's a lot of research, by the way. He went through what looked like months of internet searches in a day. I mean, he went down that rabbit hole and he came up with a new book. So, and it's worth it. It was absolutely worth it. So I highly recommend it. It's in the link in the chat if you haven't bought it yet. That's all I'm going to say, Andrew. So don't worry. Hopefully that hasn't ruined your experience. I doubt it will. It was less than a paragraph of the book. So again, highly recommended. Let me put it to you this way. If it turns out that you are way too high info for this book, it is a good enough book that you will probably want to give it to somebody else as a gift, even if you don't need it. That's how good a book it is. I'd recommend it. And no, I was not put up to this. I did not have, there's no financial incentive except to ask everyone who listens for help. Again, please go to nftu.net if you can assist. And yeah, it's just it was sent to me by one of our supporters. I am going to create. Actually, I will probably do it tomorrow at the latest. We're going to create like a kind of a supporter wall. We do recognize all the help that people have been giving, and we know that it's really appreciated to some degree. Things have gotten a little bit confused. I have to still. Hold on. Let me see here. I still have a lot of organization to do in terms of getting more articles up on NFTU, including paid articles. That's not fair to those who do pay on the site for those. And I will have a paid article up most likely by the end of the week. It's just been really busy, really crazy, and I know that's not fair to some of our supporters or all. It's not fair to I've been trying to help out as many people as I can, and at the same time, I'm also pretty stretched thin. I want to make this full time, but the truth is, I have to continue looking for work. I have to continue fighting to get money that's owed me, and so it's been a bit of a struggle. So I do appreciate the book being sent to me. Another book was sent to me, and I will be doing a book review of that next week, and that is this one. It's Ivan Alexandrovich Ilyin on Resistance to Evil by Force. This is a much longer work, so that's why I'm not reviewing it this week. But again, as I mentioned, the book we reviewed here, The Russian Orthodox Church Abroad and the Genuine Orthodox Christians of Greece, A History by Sbdn Nectarios Harrison. Quite worthwhile. Just click the link that is in the chat, and I'll be putting it in the description as well. And again, it's definitely worthwhile, and I want to thank everyone for listening. Everyone who had, thank you for Greg for questions and Andrew. And I'd like to thank everyone who helps out and supports, and everyone who had comments or thoughts or people, and hope I answered the questions of those who are interested in buying the book. I think I think you'll be genuinely pleased with it. In that case, I'd like to say thank you to all of you. May God bless you and have a good night.